I think we're live. Are you there?
I think we are, yes. Hello, Feroshia.
Awesome.
Yay.
Hello, Melanie. And hello, everyone else. So I'm Feroshia from Coach Training World, and I'm being graced by the beautiful Melanie McCloskey, who is, I would say, the ideal coach in the world of many hats, many methods, many types of clients, and her brand is herself, even though I know we've had previous conversations where, I think, I'll ask you about this a little bit later, but sometimes we think we need a particular brand, and I think you really are the epitome of a coach who is known as the go-to transformational person.
Oh,
and I know it's true.
Thank you.
And you work with such deep topics and deep situations, and you bring people to life. And what I think would be valuable for everyone is a little bit of your background, maybe before coaching, because I know you pulled in a lot of modalities to fill up your toolkit, and you brought it into coaching. And then maybe talk a little bit later about who you work with. So let's begin with kind of your history, and then we'll start after that. I'm doing this whole summary, and here's where we're going to go, right?
Chunking it down. I like the chunk it down.
I'm teaching. Take it. Stop it. Stay in the Then we'll talk about.
You're laying out the roadmap.
I am. That's so funny. So anyway, let's talk about you and your journey to coaching and what happened when you became a coach.
Wow.
Yeah,
5 years ago, through the incredible grace of finding Coach Training World. So wonderful. What was it? Well, I started my professional life, besides like selling magazines as a child, but as a photographer. So I was all over the place with that. And I really enjoyed celebrating people at high points in their life, whether it was sports photography. I used to be a ski photographer, and really celebrating people that were doing things that they enjoyed and finding a way to memorialize that in a way. So I did that for a while, and then I found I wanted to do something that transition, and I ended up getting a corporate job at a financial coaching institute, and my coach there was, and I was in a sales division. He was like, "You do not need to be in sales. You need to be a coach." I said, "Sounds interesting. Okay." He planted that seed. Very sweet. I'm so thankful for him. And then fast forward, I worked for AmeriCorps. I did some different things. And then I was an operations manager for some medical clinics, and helping people grow their businesses. And I really enjoyed that piece of it. And then but I still had this nagging, like, I like being an entrepreneur. I like working for myself. I like freedom. I love to travel. Little known facts, I've been to all 50 states. And
ooh, jealous.
I know. It's not enough countries yet, but yeah. And so I really have this sense of adventure, and that was sort of felt like the next adventure is to like go out on my own and really do something that really fed my soul. And coaching was one of those things, and really helping people to launch themselves and do what was calling them in their hearts. So I like to say I help people get out of their own way in all sorts of different ways. So yeah, I think I don't know, is there more from my background that you can remember that I should?
Well, I remember very significantly in the training, especially a lot of the Reiki that you brought in.
Yeah, that's right.
Room, and some of your other tools, which I think is so important, because as a coach, coaching is really the transformational process, but when you can infuse it with your signature twists and turns and make it unique, from your toolkit as well as the coaching toolkit, I think that's fabulous.
Yeah, and that was
toolkits.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, there's tons. I'm so curious about a lot of different things, and I found Reiki through just my healing journey, and it's funny that these like paths are colliding. I never would have expected it, but I'm a big fan of alternative medicine. I've had chronic health issues for a long time, and I've found relief in alternative or complementary medicine. And Reiki just happened to be something that I could do at my acupuncture clinic and my acupuncturist clinic. And so I tried it, and I just loved it. It was the most relaxing, de-stressing thing. And then the woman was a Reiki master, and she teaches classes. She's like, "Oh, you should take the first one." So next thing I know, I had taken all the classes and become a Reiki master myself. Like 2-3 years later, I was like, "How did this happen?" I just found it as a wonderful way to support people and de-stress. So yeah, that's ended up really being a window on holistic transformation for people, and seeing how I think transformation happens when you address the 4 parts of ourselves, like the mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. And if you're missing any of those areas, that it can be a roadblock to real, true change. So I think that lens of having experienced how helpful it's been for me has been really helpful for others. And it's really fun to be able to help someone get rid of a headache, or just really relax and calm and ground and center. So, yeah.
Well, I love it when you said what parts are all parts of my toolkit. So beyond the Reiki, what else do you add in? Because I know there's more.
I'm so interested in everything. It's one thing I found.
You never hear that around here.
Exactly. That's again why I loved Coach Training World so much, is that like the holistic approach, and then all the different things that you did. I was really interested in NLP. And so I was considering that instead of getting trained as a coach. A friend said, oh, you should really check out NLP. I see you doing that. And when I knew that was part of or influenced your program, I'm like, well, there we go, killing a bunch of birds with one stone. And, and so I'm interested in the way that we speak to ourselves and how much our words have power. And along with that, NVC has been a huge thing for me, nonviolent communication or compassionate communication. I've been practicing with the practice group for quite a few years and gone to a number of workshops, and that really influences my coaching quite a bit. That's everything's based on feelings and needs. And we all have needs, and that motivates our choices. And yeah, so that's NVC's big. Let's see, what else am I forgetting? And I'm also, I like the structure of getting a little bit of feedback. I don't know if you're getting that.
Tiny bit, yeah.
Hearing myself twice is fun.
Oh no. Well, you won't forget a thing.
Right, exactly. So yeah, just I also like the grounded business perspective and the structure of strategic planning and things like that. So I like to just lean on different structures and strategies to help business owners that I know from being an operations manager and working in several different businesses. So yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I love, and I want to say, you're great at breaking the rules.
Yes.
Right? And I think that's absolutely, rebels are appreciated.
Yes.
And the rule is that you've got to have a niche, and you've got to have one particular client, and you can't, spread your wings. And I'm imagining that part of your process, and I'll let you talk a little bit more about your different client bases. It's almost like you mastered one, and then you could kind of extend some of your marketing, your know-how and business know-how to attract another group. And so you could have it all, because I watch you today and you're servicing a lot of different types of people with different needs.
Yes.
And I think that's really exciting because of the variety and the complexity.
Yeah.
So
it's really fulfilling.
Talk about that. In particular, who are you serving now? All of them, right? And what was your strategy to be able to do that, to expand and really have it all?
Yeah. Good question. I wish I could say I was that strategic, but let's see. Somehow I manifested it, which is pretty amazing. But really, it's been following what's fun and true to my heart and what really feels like me. I get to help so many amazing people right now. I'm a number of women business owners I either work with privately or in a group. I run a year-long mastermind group right now. And so there's 5 different women business owners who are in that. And they're solo entrepreneurs. So I support them and a number of startup businesses. I'm trying to think through my little client list in my head here. And then I have a number of people that just come for general life coaching that they're not sure what it is that they want to do, or they know that they're being called towards a transition and things don't feel right. And so they need some help exploring. And that's really fun for me too, because I think that's part of one of my clients calls it the Melanie Magic, which is so funny to say.
Say it again. Say it again.
Claim it. The Melanie Magic.
That's awesome.
She's going to know who she is. But it's like you can just throw everything up in the air and go, okay, what's important here? What is it that's important here? And help them like that. Just the natural coaching thing is to be a neutral sounding board and being able to pick up on, that thing. I can see the light that comes through with your whole person when you talk about this. And then I can see how you shut yourself down when you talk about that. And so it's, it just is obvious of like kind of what rises to the top of what's important, but that when people are coming and they're in chaos or they're in transition and they're not quite sure which end is up and how to move forward, that I can help them sort through that. So life coaching is in that realm. And then my newest beautiful modality is cancer coaching too, which I'm really excited about as well. And that's actually why I'm in the Bay Area here today. So I'm not in my home in Hood River, but I'm visiting a friend who's a fellow cancer coach. And it's been really fun to work with survivors and sort of help them make meaning of their journey and what's going on with them and help them launch from that place into whatever it is they really want to be doing with their life after such a big challenge. So because you really know what you're made of after something like that. So that's been a really fun, and I'm seeing that growing more, and I'm excited to dive into that too. So yeah, I'm a little all over the place, but somehow there's a theme and it all works, and it's just crazy fun.
Well, I am hearing a theme, and the theme is people that really want to get to the core of who they are and create something that's of deep meaning and value to them, whether it's their business, a big life change just that's being self-initiated, or a big life change that was kind of initiated for them with the cancer.
Right. Exactly. And any of those journeys, all of your stuff comes up, good, bad, and ugly. And you kind of need to help clear it through to really move forward. So I just beg people to get a coach or find a trusted partner to be with them on that journey, because no one's meant to do it alone. And that you can go so much farther with help. And that's, I think people learn that when they have a significant health challenge, that, you find out who your friends are, you find out who's on your team, and and it doesn't take that to do that, but yeah, you can get a coach before that.
I'm having flashbacks and going, yep, my team disappeared. Yeah. Like, oh, this is huge. Right. Of people in your life that don't have tools.
Right. Yeah. And they don't know quite how to show up when the hard stuff hits. And, and also to have compassion for that everyone deals with things in their own way. And if they haven't had a significant real challenge, then they might not know how to deal with someone. Or if you're an entrepreneur, like a lot of my friends didn't understand. They're like, what are you doing working 24/7 all the time? Or why aren't you available? Or that they could call anytime. Like, you got to set good boundaries, when you're really have your eyes on and you're creating something from scratch. So that's probably where that rebel part comes in. I'm not afraid to do something differently to get the results I want.
Well, isn't that key to life?
Yes, exactly.
So something that just came to mind is I often hear where someone will come into coaching because something in their life really hit them at a point where they said, I want to become a coach. And then I hear another point where they kind of have the aha moment, and that can change over time, where they get really clear on who they want to help.
Yes.
Can you remember anything around that when you were going through your process? I know it's been a few years, but.
Yeah. What was it? I think it's kind of similar. And that was probably what attracted me to your training too, was supporting Changemakers. So I see that we all have a ripple effect on the world by being who we are. Again, good, bad, or ugly. And and so I've always wanted to help Changemakers get out of their own way, so that that ripple effect that they had could be really powerful, and they could just be, get rid of all the blocks to having a natural, because I feel like when we're really the fullest expression of who we are, then our ripple effect has a lot of power just by being ourselves. It's a lot less work, and it's a lot more authentic. But it takes a lot of hard work and vulnerability and authenticity to get there. And so I think coaching really helps that. And to talk, you had asked about just becoming a coach. That's one thing that I see. It's like, be ready, buckle in, because if you sign up for coaching or to become a coach, you got to be ready to look at every gremlin that you've ever had in the eyes, and face every fear, and find the breadth of all of your emotions so that you can support others to do that same thing. So I think, like I said, I think my niche was kind of the same now, or my deepest desire is to really have that, help people have, changemakers have that ripple effect on the world. So those are the people I have the most fun with. Mm-hmm. Does that answer your question?
It did, and what I'm reflecting is, is I hear that a lot, like, okay, going to coach is looking at yourself first,
right.
Going to become, which is absolutely true. And there's a part of me, it's like, I'm wondering why you think that is. Because I have a theory, but I'd rather hear from you first, and then I'll chime in.
Good question. Let's see. Well, I think it's once you've gone through looking at your own gremlins, you don't have as much fear around it. And that once you faced, like, okay, what's the worst case scenario? And once you've tamed those tigers, then you have more confidence that you can do that for others, and that you can hold their hand and say, all right, let's look at it. Let's do it. And recognize your own power in that. And to really recognize your own power, you have to go there. Mm-hmm. You have to face your stuff. And that's what you're asking your clients to do. So I think that comes up. It's like, who am I to be a coach? I certainly, the first time that someone suggested I be a coach, I was in my 20s. I was like, I don't have enough life experience to be a life coach, and,
not true.
Yeah, right. And that wasn't true. But at the same time, I needed to wait until I was ready. And then when I was ready, I was really ready. So, and it was beautiful, because as I got the training, I used it immediately. I mean, I became a coach immediately, but then I also had a bigger toolbox to really help myself through a number of significant challenges too. So that was really, really lovely. I felt very equipped to coach myself, and not to coach myself, but because one of my beliefs is that any good coach has a coach as well. But to understand what was going on and ask for help, and also feel okay to have better boundaries about what I needed, and really extreme self-care to support myself. So, yeah.
When you touched on kind of what I suggested as my theory, I hear, and I too went through, who am I? I haven't, I haven't accomplished my dreams. I'm not perfect.
Right.
And which is so interesting, because one of my mentors said, well, are you at least 2 days ahead of your clients in your process?
Exactly.
And I'm like, well, no, I'm more like 2 or 3 years. And like, well, whatever.
Right. It needs to be just far enough that you still remember, you know, but you're not cocky enough. So you're like, oh, no problem. Like you have that compassion of where they're at, of the challenge that they're facing. And that's totally it. I've heard that a lot, actually. Yeah.
Well, and almost recently, I've kind of also noticed that, because when I'm in coach mode, and I'm not in friend mode, I'm operating as that deeply interested, neutral, third-party perspective. And so sometimes when some of my clients, I have no idea what they're talking about in the terms of, I don't have firsthand experience.
Right. And the beauty is we don't have to.
Exactly. But I have experiences that are similar enough that I can imagine, or, be compassionate with the process they're going through. So I can be there with them in, that sense, being deeply present and holding an empathetic space. Yeah. And I notice this, sometimes when I haven't had that big thing happen to me, I can be even more curious.
Yes.
Because my story isn't even going to come up, because I'm not in it. But if I have enough stories or similar experiences or things that remind me of it, that almost gives me an edge sometimes, that I feel, like I wish I had more of, like when I coach entrepreneurs, which is my group. You know,
Uh-huh.
I'm like, I've been doing it for 30 years. Oh, I know that one. I know that one. They're like, get out of the advice.
Totally.
They're not in that story. That was 25 years ago. Those problems aren't here anymore.
Right. It's a totally new game, you know,
Yeah.
but there's enough similarity that you can relate, which bridges that, you know, that it makes them more available to be coached, because you can relate a bit, but not so much that you're judging or shoulding, or, you know, we would never do that as coaches, but thinking that we know what they're going for, so we can so we can stay in that curiosity place, I think, and really connect. And I feel like that's what creates transformation, is when someone feels connected with and really seen. So when you can really see someone and they have just enough, like, okay, a nugget, like, okay, she gets me, she gets what I'm going through. And then that can catalyze their transformation, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So you had said one of your philosophies was everyone should have a coach.
Oh, yeah.
What else do you believe?
Well, along those same lines, one of the things I've been talking about on a number of my calls lately with clients is, who's your board of directors? Like, who's your team? Like, if you could name a team that, you know, directly to your question, I believe everyone should know that they have the kind of support that they want. So a tool for that is to sort of name your team, real or imagined, and not think that you have to do everything alone. Like, even if it's like Albert Einstein would know what to do right now. Like, he has a seat on your board of directors if that's someone that you really resonate with. Or it might be someone like you that I know I can call. Like, I've got a Feroshia question. Like, she could be there for me with this question, which I've done before with you.
Yeah,
And yeah, more. Exactly. I know. Yeah. So it's like, name your team, your board of directors, so that you feel like your heart and your passion and your purpose has a backing, you know, real or imagined, and that you understand that you have the kind of support that you need, that, again, no one should go it alone. That even though you're an entrepreneur and you have your own business, that that you have people that love and support you in the way that you need to be supported. So yeah, that's, I'd say, is one of my philosophies is get support, get coaching. And I have an amazing accountability partner. We do weekly accountability, and it's a great, like, two-way exchange. We both help each other out a lot. I've got great coaches that I can call on for different things, different people for different things. And yeah, I've really found out recently, I just have a really amazing team. And the more I lean on them, the more abundant my life is. So I'm sort of an independent person, as you might guess. So it's been hard, you know, to kind of think. I was trained to, like, do it yourself. You do everything yourself, and you just do it yourself. So I've had to, like, relearn or really learn to lean on other people. And that really creates more, like, people love it. People love to be of service. And I love the people I coach, and that it's an honor to coach them, and that they trust me in order to help them reach their goals. So I recognize that's just as important for me too, that I have to have people that I trust that help me too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm curious about is, you know, often I've heard people say, I don't need anyone to help me. I'm going to do it all myself. And when you see someone in that place,
I'm like, oh,
what is that? Yeah. You know.
Painful. And that's great. That's great. If they're in warrior mode, you know, have fun with that.
Well, here's my question. So this is common. And I think a lot of us that, you know, I'll just own my own truth. I do it too. I'm fine. I'm really fine.
Oh yeah.
It's just code for, I'm not fine. I just want you to notice, doggone it, but it's not happening, and I'm still fine because you're not noticing.
Right.
If someone is in that position where they do want to help someone, and the other person is saying, I'm fine, but yet you could, you know, as the observer of the person that's struggling, what can that person that's wanting to coach or maybe direct that person to show their support, what can they do with someone who doesn't want help?
Walk away.
Walk away.
Yeah. I mean, to me, because the first thing about being coachable is that, they're ready to take responsibility for what they've got going on and accept help, or accept having a sounding board, or that they might want an ally. And if they definitely don't want an ally, it's like giving advice. It's like talking on the chairlift to someone like, hey, I'm a coach. You want me to tell you how to live your life? It's like, no. Like, you're just going to get so much pushback of like, I got this. I'm good. I don't need that. You could, yeah. But I do feel it's hard, and I've seen a lot of people struggling, and it's not I don't feel like it's my place unless they come to me and they want the support. And so it's more of like an open-handed offering of saying, wow, I have a lot of tools in my toolbox. I've seen a lot of people in your position, and I'd love to support you if you ever wanted that. But more of an open-handed offering rather than putting it on someone, because I also feel like if we have that attachment, whoa, where'd you go?
I'm right here.
Oh, hold on.
That's a divine intervention. Sounds like a phone.
I know. I was like, whoa, what is that? Hey, you're back. Oh, good. Somebody just did a little FaceTime call. Borrowing my friend's computer here. So yeah, so just that offering of recognizing, like, what was that divine intervention about? Maybe you can help me refresh back where we were.
Well, the open hand versus the putting upon.
Yes, yeah, that interrupting. If there's a neediness for us to help others, then I don't feel it's totally clean. So I like to keep my coaching clean and not be a fixer, not see, wow, I really have something for you. I wish you would take advantage of it. That's never really worked out that well. But when people come to me for help, and it feels like they're ready to really take responsibility and work through something. But yeah, so, and a lot of times that mode for them can be really helpful. That might be a phase on their journey. I think about the hero's journey quite a bit. That might be a phase on their journey that they really need to go through. If it's like being the victim or being the warrior, and then really coming to a bigger place of recognizing that we don't do it alone, and I can use help, but that doesn't mean that I'm not able. So, yeah, I'll stop talking. On my soapbox.
I'm gonna rant. But well, it's interesting because one of the things that I learned early on in my, even back when I was just helping people with marketing, and I would come in and I would see all these opportunities, and the business owner would be like, we don't have money for that. That's not going to work. Right. And it would be excuse after excuse. And I would get so frustrated because I would have all this brilliance, and I was making that happen with this company over here, and they were bringing in millions and billions of dollars. And this other company that's going, but we're going to go in the red, won't even listen to anything I have to say. And I remember that being a catalyst for changing the way I started to communicate. And I started just asking tons of questions, and I kind of realized, wow, the more questions I ask, the more they start to see things for themselves, and the easier the conversation is.
Right.
Later on, I ended up here. Yes. And I think that can be a really positive strategy for someone that wants to help, is just to ask a gentle question, maybe one without an agenda, or even one that maybe they expect an answer for, just to show that interest and maybe the compassion or support without the need to feel like they're valuable or what they're saying is going to be used. And if it's not, then they aren't of value.
Yeah, and that feels like that open-handed offer of just coming from that curious place of like, it's not like, how's that working for you?
Did you feel like saying that? Really?
Right. You need me.
That's one of the things that I remember early on as a coach, and I don't know if this resonates, but I'd love to hear. Like, we're training and using all of our holistic tools and everything, and still sometimes people don't pick up the information.
Right.
And then they come back, a week later, same results, 2 weeks later, same results, 3 weeks later, and the whole world and the whole universe has changed.
Right. Yeah.
And I know personally, sometimes I doubt myself when my client isn't able to move, even though I know that readiness, willingness, and ableness has to be in place for that to happen. But that whole journey of, wow, how can I feel valuable when I don't see the transformation overnight, when I know it's happening? And I love, after coaching for, you know, a while, you start to go, oh, it's happening. It's just not right now. It's like, it's coming. It's cool.
Right. You're laying the groundwork. I love that when I hear, a client 6 weeks later after working together, they'll quote something like, oh, you did hear that. Like that did make an impact, because I'll get off the phone not thinking, well, boy, they haven't shifted or whatever. And then, you know, recognize, no, they really did. Like there was something that was planting seeds along the way and they just weren't ready yet. As another coach said to me that I was working with this year, she's like, it just might not be time yet. You know, and that it feels like there's a divine timing to things, and there's that you're always, as long as you're moving forward and laying the groundwork and doing your work, you know, that somehow and with a coach-client relationship too, I feel like it's just creating the power in the relationship and making sure you're always giving them the power. Because if you think, how could I be a better coach, or they're not shifting, that's kind of taking the power away from them. You know, I think you taught me that. So, yeah.
It's all about me and I'm a failure.
Right. I should be able to shift them. You're such a master coach. It's like watching magic happen. I love it.
And one of the things that I love is humor.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, and I'm going to ask a bold question here, because that's my nature. So because I've also coached cancer survivors.
Yeah.
And it is my nature to put funny and humor into things. And I would sometimes feel like that levity was what was breaking things free. And sometimes I felt like when I would put that energy into the conversation, depending on where someone was in their process, I would start to go, oh gosh, that didn't land. And holding my breath till I passed out, like, you know, and having had a dance with cancer, it's like, then I'd be like, oh yeah, I forgot. So what has been your experience? Like, what has really worked to work in that population? What have you noticed has been really successful for you? You know, and I'm just looking for other people that might be interested in serving similar populations. What's kind of been one of your secrets in there?
Good question.
And you can take time to think about it.
I love it. Well, what was coming up for me hearing you was, I used to be like hyper serious, you know, everything was serious. And I feel like I learn a lot from my clients and other people to lighten up. And that's one thing I really see in cancer survivors too, is they have the most beautiful glow and lightness around them, and humor, that it's so fun to be around them and work with them. Because my last client, I would just laugh. She had me in tears like all the time. And so it was just a joy to work with her, because like I learned to laugh more through her and to be lighter. So yeah, and I think I'm that lightness, like, you know, we could be talking about life or death stuff, but in the end, it's like, well, yeah, we're all going to die. And how are we going to really enjoy life today? Like, what's on my list of, like, my happiness list today that I'm going to go out and do? And what am I living for today? You know, so it's like really looking for the beauty and gratitude every day in life, or what it is. Like, we're human. We love to have fun. We strive to have fun. That's like the whole point. So I dance with that myself, because I feel like, I'm so serious. Everything's so serious, but I get to look forward to learning more from and I do see that even, so I'm a hospice volunteer as well. And like those clients have the most beautiful sense of humor or lightness as well. So it's like, well, the worst that could happen is going to be happening. So, you know, I might as well laugh and have a good time while I'm at it. And yeah, so I feel like just being real and acknowledging and having, with that population, like having permission. And I think that kind of lays, like, you can't really do anything wrong when you have permission and you already feel like you don't have to have it perfect, or that you might not say the right thing. So I've really been cautious about, like, oh, I don't want to say the wrong thing, you know, but really giving them the power to, and have you have permission to coach them, and have them have permission to say, you know, that really didn't resonate with me, or that didn't work for me when you said that, and go, okay, cool, you know. So power in the conversation. Does that make sense? I'm kind of going off again.
It does, and I'm going to just clarify, because when you first said permission, the first thing that came to mind is giving yourself permission to mess up.
Yes.
To be real, to be like, oh, I'm not going to be perfect.
Yeah.
It's also give them the permission to just show up at 100% authentic too.
Yeah. Yeah. And that makes it more fun. Like when they know that you're going to mess up, and you're down there in the pit, like exploring all the horrors of life, you know, they're allowed to mess up, and I'm supposed to be calling them on their stuff, you know, so that you both have permission to kind of go wherever, and then bring lightness to it. So that, I think that really does a lot to just have a solid relationship with people, like a trusting relationship. The more trust you have, the more fun you can have.
Well, it just reminds me of how much the coaching, the way of the coach, I don't know if this is the right way to say it, but it's almost a way of being.
It is.
The communication is so effective in all relationships, not just the coaching container.
Yeah.
You know, pieces of it. And I think that's one of the things I probably became so addicted to. It's like, wow, I'm noticing just by the way I communicate, my relationships are more authentic. I feel more at ease. I trust people more. They seem to trust me more. And we're not having the conflict anymore that was, because the conversations, the nature of it and the quality of it completely up-leveled.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's awesome.
I think going back to your, like people who want to pursue coaching, like it really can give you a different window on life and up-level your life quite a bit, because you have a different perspective on quality, you know, quality relationships and quality communication and authenticity, things like that. So yeah. Pretty awesome. I love it. Yeah.
So I have a couple more questions, and one of them is, what is one lesson you've been taught from your clients, or one of your clients? I know, tough one.
So many. Oh, I love it. Boy, oh boy. Let's see. There's a few different things that are coming to mind. One of my clients, we dubbed her as having a miracle mindset. And yeah. And that woman, just magic happened for her. It's like she was just such a beautiful place to come to coaching, and just really ripe for change. And we coined it the miracle mindset that she had. I was like, well, what's possible, you know, and what would be the coolest thing that could happen, and to really just expand her vision. And now, you know, in the last year, she's been all over the world, like literally, and she's really is just amazing. But that, you know, to me, is that power of, it's been beautiful to watch the clients that I've had over the last 5 years have that miracle mindset, and to help them really get clear on what it is that they want, even if it's just a feeling or if it's an idea of what they want, and then to see that they're laying the groundwork to make that happen, to move towards it. And so that's something I've learned from my clients too, by, you know, I know it's true from coaching, and it's my whole point is to empower people to live what their heart's telling them to do, even though they may not understand it, or it doesn't make sense, but that, you know, to expect miracles, like, because now I've seen it like over and over and over again. It's really beautiful. Yeah.
So what miracle would you like to have for yourself?
Oh, oh, let's see. Like I'm asking Santa. I'd love a Tesla and a trip to Europe. No, I think I'm living it. It's hard to really pinpoint exactly what that is, but you know, I think the idea of miracles is really funny to me because I think it's something that we think isn't possible, and then all of a sudden it happens. Like, how is that possible? So miracles to me is like upside down on its head, because I really just think it's supporting ourselves to align with what we really want, and that makes it inevitable to happen. And I'm sort of excited to see what life brings me, is to see that if the more I live my deeper truth and the more I honor myself, that's going to bring me to, I'm already in a beautiful place, but to continue to bring me to beautiful places. So yeah, I'm just excited to keep watching the trajectory of life get better and better through doing the work that makes my heart sing. Yeah. And a trip to Europe would be nice too. I've never been to Europe. I know.
Where do you want to go?
I want to go visit my friend in Norway. I want to go to Paris. I don't know why. I really don't. But yeah, there's all sorts of like little places. And I don't know why I'm fixated on that. I also want to go on safari in Africa. That would be a great thing too. But
I'll go on that one with you.
Yeah. And it's funny, I was traveling quite a bit, and I haven't traveled in 6 months. This is the first time I've traveled in 6 months, of going down to California to do to visit friends here. And I was actually, it's been one of the most successful years in my coaching career because I was grounded. I haven't been very grounded the last few years with some significant challenges coming up, and I could just focus on my business. So I feel like actually a couple trips a year is just fine, because I'm really loving where I'm at right now, being able to be grounded and focused. Salud.
Salud. That was my inner body inner wisdom coming through. Yes, I agree.
I love it. Awesome.
Well, I'm curious, if people want to hear more about you or learn more about you, we can go to your website.
Yes, MelanieMcCloskey.com.
Okay.
Yep.
And is there anything else that you would like to share with folks today that maybe I haven't covered?
There's so much. Oh my gosh, there's like so much that I get a little verklempt. I don't know. There's that piece of, if you're it's just to believe in the power of your dreams, believe in where your heart is bringing you, and believe that you can get over the obstacles and there's as soon as you choose to follow your heart or your passions, that the world will rise up to support that. I mean, there's all sorts of like funny quotes about it. But that, and get a coach. If you're thinking about becoming a coach, get a coach. If you think you need a coach, get a coach. That the coaching can be really transformational. And one thing that I like to say is that, I like to help people do what they feel like is flying, like give them their idea of ultimate freedom in life. And that the thing that I really find is beautiful with coaching is that I see it as someone who holds their feet to the fire to be the biggest expression of what they want in their life. And they probably already are it in some ways, so that you can also get that reflected. But it's also it's such an honor for me to work with people that I create, or I hope to create, a really safe space for them to explore every demon, every like horrible fear that they have while they're going through their transformation or going through the steps in order to become who they want to become. So that finding a trusted partner who's neutral and is just there to love you and support you and believe in you and believe in your dream and hold that dear while you're in there dealing and slaying your dragons, and then can hand you back that dream and say, okay, here you go. You've achieved it. It's such an honor as a coach to do that for people, and that it's totally possible. So that's I just beg people to get help so that they can have that transformation that's there for them.
I wholeheartedly agree. And I think what I also want to add into that is that coaching is not therapy.
Right.
And it's a really different process. And I think, even as you're talking about slaying the dragons, it's such a different way to look at fear and to look at the stopping blocks that is not drawing upon maybe the origination of that fear or the origin of that fear, but really taking the present and, putting yourself in a position to be able to look at the whole and see everything and also draw upon the whole person and move into the future. And so you are masterful at doing that with a wide variety of people. And again, I mean, I love the fact that you're breaking the rules, you're doing multiple populations because you know what problems you solve and you know who you are. And that speaks far more than I'm a health and wellness coach and I do this and this and this. And I think, that's one of the things I love is, you're walking the talk and doing it.
And there are different coaches for everybody. I am not a coach for everybody. There's certain people that I really like to help empower. And I always tell people to shop around, but if I'm your coach, then you'll know it. And I want to work with you. If you're ready to do the work, I want to do it. I want to help you. So that's like, and it's definitely not therapy. Like I'm one of my powers or one of my strengths is to activate. Like I expect people to do work and I'm like, all right, you know your homework. They might think it's all warm and fuzzy, but I'm like, all right.
It is warm and fuzzy and there's work done. It's kind of like being in the hot tub and then running the mile too.
right, exactly. And it's
shredding in the zone.
It's that much more rewarding when you do it all. So balanced. Yeah.
I had an interesting picture I wanted to share before we ended. When you were talking, I started seeing like a stove and how we have pots on the back burner that are kind of on warm.
Yeah.
I had this picture of the pot coming to the front burner and turning on the gas.
That's right.
Another thing that pops in my head that became amusing to share. So
it's totally true. I tell people before they start working with me, it's like I have a little form for them to fill out and they're like, oh, I didn't get that paper done. I was like, well, we'll need to go over those questions right now because before I say a word, I want to know what your intention is for coaching, like why you want to be coached, because there's so much power in that pure intention, because as soon as we start talking, everything could possibly change, because we put that frying pan on the heat and just like, you're going to flash fry dinner. It's going to be this amazing, beautiful thing that you didn't even know was possible, potentially. That's awesome. What's that like? Results may vary, but depending on what you're ready for.
Exactly. And maybe someone isn't ready to put it on the fire. Maybe they want to cook it on the back burner or even get a crock pot.
yeah, exactly. Crock pot is just slow and steady with grace.
And the deep support that you can offer. So.
Yeah, it's super fun. And I highly recommend your training too. It was such a great
thank you.
First training for me. Yeah, it just really balanced everything that I was looking for. And I'm so happy that I found my way to you. It was great.
Well, I'm so happy you're part of our community. And I'm so thrilled that on your birthday vacation, you took the time out for us.
Yeah. Got out of my PJs for you. No, it's fantastic. It's great. It's such an honor. It was perfect. It was really perfect because I had such a busy week last week, and then today I could really relax and get ready for this. So if it would have been last week, I would have been a little more crazed. So yeah.
Just as bright though.
Yes. Yeah. It's such an honor to be able to talk and share. And oh my goodness, it's crazy. Like what a difference 6 years has made too.
Yeah.
And really feeling like, oh yeah, all right. Yeah, I got this. It's great. I'm loving being a coach. So thank you.
Well, I will see you back when you're in Oregon at some point. I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I know we've got to get together more soon.
More community parties. Woo!
For sure. It's such a great community. So if you're thinking about Coach Training World, it's a pretty awesome community.
I know. I could walk away and it would be totally fine.
Yeah. I'm like, well, Ferosh couldn't make it, but we're here.
Right?
Yeah. Get ready for lifelong friends. Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you, my dear. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your vacation. And thanks again.
Yeah. Thank you. Such an honor. Thank you.
Bye.